Hey everyone, so welcome to the new set of Make It with Calvin. Yes, that is right folks, I have myself a new set here, partly courtesy of my mom for being gracious enough to buy me these really nice benches over at IKEA. More on this and the shelf and the other awesome stuff here in another video, but in this week's episode, I'm going to be showing you guys how I took a plain piece of metal like this, you guys can see nothing on it, and turned it into this. Yeah, that's right, it's a bronze inlaid sign for my sister. So let's dive in. So pretty much the basis of this project was, for Christmas, I told my sister, hey, do you want me to build you a cool looking little sign for your tiny house? And she was like, sure, sounds like a great idea. So I figured instead of just making it a standard sign, if you will, I figured it'd be actually really cool to try out doing an inlay with another material. In this case, I used silicon bronze brazing rods as the material. And as you'll see in the upcoming footage, there was a little bit of trial and error to get it to this point, but overall it was actually not that hard of a process to do. So off camera, because around my CNC mill the lighting is just horrible right now, I really need to work on doing that. I took the blank plate, which would be something like this, and I machined in a recess for the lettering about 25 to 30 thousandths of an inch thick. This is 1/8 inch thick steel plate, so there was more than enough material beneath, but I wanted to have enough depth, if you will, so that way we could easily fill in the area, and when we came along to clean the top off, it wasn't like the lettering was foil thin or something so thin that when you went to clean it off, you had absolutely no buffer room, if you will. So after machining it, the next step obviously was to fill it in with the bronze. And whoops, sorry, the lighting's not the best here. And that we will cut to now. We've now got the whole top of this covered in graphite, so that should help prevent excess bronze from adhering. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some granular flux, this stuff here, and just sprinkle it inside the letters. So that way... Okay, I think we got enough flux for the shoe.
I thought flux was the stuff, you know, when you like weld, you know? I thought it was like more of a solid... Oh gosh, sorry.
It's okay. Well, we know it's granular.
Why is this different?
It's because it's granular flux.
Oops, I missed that part.
It's okay. Ah, joys of late night filming, guys. This is awesome. Don't worry, I'm not mad at you. Wow, that's going to be one clean sign when we were done. Yeah, so just try and, like, it doesn't need to fully fill everything in. Just, like, just rub it into all the letters. So that's probably way more than enough flux. All right, so you can set it on the ceramic thing. Be gentle because it is fragile. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fire up the torch and start just warming the plate up. The whole point is we just want the flux to start to flow, and then we're going to start introducing our brazing rod. So I'm going to do that first to show Audrey how to do it, and then she's going to take over from there. You ready?
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh man.
overnight, I let the plate sit in a pickling solution, which is just some vinegar diluted with water. So now that I've got this pickled, you can see it looks decent, but honestly, I want to make it look a little better so it's more readable, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this guy to my little work table and just hit it really quick with my angle grinder, which has a flap disc on it. Whoops. And that ought to help smooth things over a little bit. Then we can dive into if we're going to polish it or anything like that. And also right now, I would like to extend a huge shout out to John Saunders over at Saunders Machine Works. You might know him as NYC CNC. In short, a while ago, I found his Fusion 360F that he left out here when he was in the Bay Area and sent me one of his super awesome twist clamps. This thing is amazing. Okay, so now we come to the part in the build, which is actually kind of interesting because at this point, I had already got the sign done. I already had the material smoothed relatively. There was some divots because it wasn't exactly the most precise with my flap disking. I'm well aware I had the grinder at the wrong angle. I know, Dave. I know you're going to chew me out when you see that. I'm well aware of it, dude. But the point is, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. What I wanted to do was darken the steel relative to the bronze to really make the bronze stick out, if you will. So my first attempt was with a propane torch, just warming up the plate, thinking, gee, if I can potentially get the plate to discolor before the bronze does, we'll be doing good. Well, the problem was both of them discolored. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need to quench the plate because it's really hot. So I dunked it into the pickling tank, and I noticed an interesting thing. When it went in there, the pickling solution quickly removed the tarnish or the oxide layer on the steel, but it left the bronze with kind of that unique heat-treated look, how it kind of gets the purplish multicolored haze going on. I'm like, oh, it looks cool. But then I really thought to myself, no, I really want to darken the steel, but try and keep the bronze alone. So I remembered I have this solution called Blacken It, which is designed for blackening a bunch of different metals except for stainless steel and aluminum. And it's a mixture of lots of probably not so great to handle chemicals if you were to spill it on your hands or drink it or something like that. Otherwise, it's relatively safe. What I did is I took a little bit of this and I brushed it across the top of the plate, and I was actually surprised that the bronze, while it did slightly darken due to it, the steel darkened extremely quickly, probably because it was a very fresh surface from being flap disked. So the effect that you got was you still have the shine of the steel coming through, but it's darkened relative to the bronze, which is taken on a little bit of a darker tone, but it looks absolutely incredible and is a real nightmare for me to try and photograph. So I'm sorry if the photos don't even remotely do it justice. The problem is the glare on it just keeps screwing my camera up. But that said, when it comes to the final look of your item, definitely experiment a little bit because you never know what you might find out about something. In the future, I am actually debating doing a couple of different material inlays with this. I have thought about using brass potentially, although there is a risk of the zinc in it fuming out. I'm going to have to research that some more and look into doing it. I've also debated looking into potentially trying other materials like copper as well, seeing if that's even possible. Obviously, if the bond between the two metals is not perfect, that's not the end of the world because obviously this is just purely a visual item, but it might look really, really cool. I've got some little welding third hands that I might experiment with this on a little bit, so we'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Make It With Calvin. If you did, please let me know down in the comments below and feel free to share this video and leave comments down below. Did you guys find this interesting? Do you have suggestions for how to do it differently? I'll be perfectly honest, I have experience doing TIG welding and MIG welding, and a little bit of gas welding, but I'm pretty much self-taught on brazing. So I'm well aware that my procedures are probably not perfect, but I'm definitely learning as I go.